So yes, I am wearing or using a old school WWF tag team title. It's a plastic toy. I don't have a replica belt. That's partly why I'm using it, and also wanted to use a prop because I'm going to be talking about championships and titles, specifically WWE, specifically from the most recent episode of Monday Night Raw, where we saw three of the champions. We saw more than that, but we saw three specific champions that I'm going to talk about, and I'm using the word specifically a lot. I apologize for that. Anywho, three champions wrestle on Raw and lose, and this is kind of a trend. This happens a lot. Want to talk first of all about Kofi Kingston. Won the United States title a couple weeks ago, had a successful defense against Antonio Cesaro on main event, I think it was, and hasn't really done much since that title. Now this is supposed to be a secondary championship, a number one contender, if you will, to the World Heavyweight or the WWE Championship, or at least that's the way it was back in the day. Of course, now I don't really think that they do that as much with these secondary titles. Long story short, Kofi Kingston ends up in a six-man tag team match with the Usos against the Shield. Now, the Shield has defeated the Big Show, Randy Orton, and Sheamus. They've defeated Ryback and Team Hell No. They've defeated Sheamus, John Cena, and Sheamus, John Cena, and Ryback. They've defeated Team Hell No and The Undertaker. So who in their right mind thought that the Shield was not going to easily defeat the Usos, who really, when's the last time we saw them on Raw, and Kofi Kingston? And Kofi Kingston was the one who took the pinfall. So I'm hoping that they're coming up with something better for Kofi down the road, because right now, not a fan of the way he is currently being portrayed and treated, especially as the United States Champion. Wade Barrett, the Intercontinental Champion, passed the title back and forth, hot potato dip, from WrestleMania to The Miz, back the next night on Raw to Wade Barrett. Wade Barrett loses in a non-title match, and I understand the significance of non-title matches, but really I don't think Sheamus is going to be contending for the Intercontinental title. I don't think that they needed to use Wade Barrett in that role Monday night to lose to Sheamus to further the storyline with Mark Henry. They could have thrown any other guy in that match that wasn't a champion and given Barrett an actual title defense. So I'm going to kind of nitpick on that, and I'm not a big fan of the way that went down either. The main event, Kane versus Ryback. Kane, of course, one half of the WWE Tag Team Champions. Losing to Ryback, I can understand that. That made some sense to me because Ryback is the number one contender to your heavyweight championship. Kane is a tag team champion, and yeah, Kane has been there, done that with everything, many of the other titles. But, I look back in the day, when maybe the Ultimate Warrior or Hulk Hogan was the WWF heavyweight champion and their number one contender, say, for example, Macho Man Randy Savage. Would have he wrestled a member of Demolition? Of course, he would have beaten that member of Demolition, one half of the tag team champion. So I understand that one a little more. But it's those secondary titles that I want to see not only defended, but I want to see the champions, getting some victories. Dolph Ziggler, another example. Of course, I think his match ended in a disqualification or something, but he's tapped out to Del Rio, and he's been pinned by Jack Swagger since winning the title about a month ago. So I just want to see more out of the champion, and I know some people will argue and say the titles mean nothing, they're props, whatever. To me, an old school guy, the belts still mean something. So please, don't forget to subscribe, and I appreciate everyone for